Okay, let's go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you please join me by standing to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. All right. Let's start the roll call. Greg Smith is absent this evening. Lori Quinn.
Here.
Mike Schneider.
Here.
Adrian Saunders.
Here.
Robin Simpson.
Present.
Jason Osborne. We have a quorum. The first thing on the agenda will be review and approval of the minutes of the April 17th, 2025 meeting minutes, which you found in tab 4. We have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes from the April 17th, 2025 meeting. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve the minutes of April 17th, 2025. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Next on the agenda will be the mayor's report. I'll try to keep it quick, and for everyone here tonight, we have a very long and lengthy session ahead of us. I'm going to implore everyone to please attempt to keep it as short as possible on your individual department reports and committee reports. Okay, what we have going on right now is the construction permit for the water plant upgrade was received by DNR. They sent it back. They had some additional questions. George has, as of this week, has answered those and sent that information back to DNR. We're hopeful to get the construction permit approved so we can get started just as quickly as possible. In addition to that, we're currently applying for a grant to the Missouri Department of Natural Resources. It's a grant to cover engineering costs that we would expect to incur to make additional changes to the water plant treatment system if they approve it, and if it's required. It's going to be a complicated conversation, but this is relative to what are called emerging contaminants that they've identified. We have had our supply tested for those, and even though we didn't have anything out of compliance, it still qualifies us to get that grant for the engineering study. So we're working on that, hope to have that approved. Hopefully by next week. We're only waiting for estimated engineering costs from Black and Beach so we can get that process started. That completes my report. City Clerk report.
I will keep it brief as well. Everyone should have a copy of our current bank balances. I've also included a copy of the March 2025 bank statement for your review. And then there's also a copy of the budget. License office is up and running. Heard great things from the public, so Lizzie, she was overwhelmed at first. I mean, it was pretty quick. She had to get in there and start. She's done really well. April has completed all of her paperwork, and she has actually started on her training over there too. So we're moving along over there. I've also attached some Missouri Municipal League important dates for you all to look into. One of them is the elected officials training that comes up in June. I think Robin might have attended that last year. It's just worth attending. And let's see what else. That's all I have.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Health insurance. What's up with that?
Health insurance, we have not been billed yet for all of those months under that other plan. We have received invoices for the new plan, and that plan year will be February to January. We have received the invoices on that, so still waiting on on the company to provide us a premium to pay for the previous.
But we're paying the premium for the new company, correct? Because when I was looking at the budget, it seems like health insurance is all over the place for the departments.
It is, because not all employees in each department utilize our health benefit.
Right.
We have not actually paid out to our new health insurance provider yet. We just received those invoices first of this week, last week. So we've got those to pay. They will be like all withdrawals from our account.
Okay.
And they'll be on a monthly basis.
Gotcha. Okay. Just checking.
So the employees are covered?
Absolutely. They never lost coverage and everything. We did receive new health insurance cards as well.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
I was noticing, it's a minor thing, that I noticed that the interest income doesn't seem to be reflected on the budget, so.
This refers back to Williams Keepers and getting us updated on all of our bank statements.
Okay.
I'm working on that too. The mayor, we've had some issues getting him lined out to use G-Works, but I think all that's been fixed. And I'm gonna get him set up and he's gonna do some entries as well. So.
Cool.
All right. Next thing on the agenda will be the city attorney's report.
And I have no report.
There are no guest speakers on the agenda. Okay, let's move right on into new business. The very first thing will be the swearing in of the newly elected officials.
Lori, Adrian, Jason, if you just stand. He wants to. Even better. Just raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Lori Quinn,
Adrian Saunders,
Jason Osborne.
do solemnly affirm that I will. Okay.
do I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Support you. Oh, you want me to read the rest of the song?
Just do solemnly affirm.
Repeat that. Oh, do solemnly affirm.
Yeah, sorry. That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
All
think we're all
of
doing
you
this
can
together.
chime in and we can do it all at the same time. Yeah.
You want to do a do-over? Third time's a charm.
All right. Here we go. Everybody raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, please state your name.
Lori Quinn. Adrian Saunders.
Jason Osborne.
Thank you. Do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
Do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Missouri.
And the Constitution of the State of Missouri.
And that I will faithfully demean myself while in the office of.
And that I will faithfully demean myself in the office of Alderman, Ward 3, City of Monroe City. Alderman, Ward 2, City of Monroe City.
Alderman, Ward 1, City of Monroe City.
For which I was elected on the 8th day of April 2025.
For which I was elected on the 8th day of April 2025.
Thank you. And I'll just need your signature at the top there. And then the second line down on the top.
No, okay.
Okay, next thing on the agenda will be both the mayoral appointments and also we will be additionally covering the other appointments as required by the statutes and by the code. Those you should have in your binder, a copy of the recommendations. as we discussed previously, the Operations Committee is going to be a combination of both the public safety as well as public works. We're doing that to streamline the process and also reduce the total number of meetings. We all know how difficult it is to get away from what we do for the rest of our lives when we're not doing this. Is it necessary to do each individual person, or can I nominate the group of people for each committee and then the board either approve or disapprove of that nomination? So I don't do it. Is that fine? Okay. So for Operations Committee, I'm nominating Mike Schneider as the chairman, Greg Smith as the co-chairman, members Jason Osborne, and members Adrian Saunders.
Should we make a motion?
Okay, question.
Yes.
We're not having citizens on these committees.
No one.
Is there a reason?
Yes. From 2004 through 2022, it was always Alderman. In 2022, citizen members were added, and then in 2024, I followed that, and I have decided I do not want to do it that way. It's pretty simple. I want to go back to the way it was done before, and it seemed to be very effective. The members on that committee would make a determination on what the recommendation is going to be to the board, and it was very successful. And it worked very, very well for at least 20 years that I'm aware of, and I think we've done the same way prior to that, prior to 2004.
With regards to these members that you're asking for approval to appoint, will there be any staff appointed to these committees, or how will that?
Not currently. Typically, what we do is we appoint one person to be basically the secretary within each committee, and they would take notes, and they'd pass those notes on to the city clerk for documentation and recording when necessary. And a lot of times, it wasn't even necessary to do that. That the chairperson or co-chair, depending upon attendance, would bring back whatever issue it was that they had addressed or discussed, and what the recommendation was to the board, and they would give that recommendation to the board during their report from their committee.
So if there's a issue where we would like, I'm just throwing this out there, if we see where we need to do an update to our utility ordinance or something like that, we would just give that to the committee, and no, there wouldn't be any staff present for that, or how would that?
This committee, the committee is able to invite whomever they wish to have, whatever resources they wish to pull into the committee. The hope would be that the actions taken on the committee would be driven both by the board of the whole having a discussion here in this format and saying, okay, that needs to be tabled and sent to whatever appropriate committee to look at and come back to the board for recommendations. And so then you would have that up, and the hope would be that the chairperson or co-chair would determine what additional resources they may need for whatever investigation deliberations they were going to have. You know, I was, other people who are probably in this room have been on a board before. For the 6 years I was on the board, it worked very, very effectively. Hope that answers your question.
Yep, thank you.
So on operations, does that also include the nuisance portion?
No.
Okay.
Where does nuisance fall?
Excuse me.
Where does
Where
nuisance
does it
fall? Does it fall under public safety, under operations?
It would. Interesting enough, there is the nuisance committee is not addressed anywhere in our code. Period. There's no requirement for it. There's no qualification for it. There's been one for many, many years, but that will be those types of issues can be handled by the public safety committee itself.
Which is part of operations.
Yes.
Our previous nuisance ordinance did have a committee for that, but we changed our nuisance ordinance. So it was kind of unnecessary at this point.
To kind of loop in with public safety more so.
Yeah, I could watch that one.
So nuisance is part of operations.
Yes.
What is operations?
Public safety. Well, excuse me, folks, public safety and public works have been combined into operations. It's modeled after other cities of the fourth class that utilize this methodology seemingly effectively. We're going to give it a try. As with all things, we're more than free to make changes as we go along if it becomes necessary. But we have to start somewhere. I know during the previous year we had a very difficult time getting meetings, having meetings scheduled, getting people to attend the meetings. Um, and this is an effort to try to correct that by having elected members of the board as members of the committees and responsible. And my hope is it's very successful. It worked for over 2 decades fairly well, I think. So I would entertain a motion from someone to please approve the nominations to the operations committee.
You make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 mayoral appointments for the Operations Committee, Parks and Recreation, Board of Appeals, Administration, Planning and Zoning, Advisory, Pilot Representatives for the Airport.
Okay, I was going to do these committees individually one at a time. Do you want to try to do them all? Can we do them all at once? We can. I think some people would probably like to know that they're on a committee. One thing that we have to do also, we need to do this separately. We need to do the reappointment for planning and zoning separately. So if we're going to do that, let me go ahead and go through this real quick. And if you allow me to, you've made a motion, correct?
Yes.
Okay, what I'm going to do to follow that motion, Administration Committee, Robin Simpson, Chairperson, Lori Quinn, Co-Chair, Adrian Saunders, Member, Mike Schneider, Member. For Park and Recreation Advisory Committee, Matt Perrine is Chairman, Penny Fulton, Co-Chair, Vicki Holland, Casey Reynolds, Alex Ross, Richard Maziarka are all citizen members, and Greg Smith is the sole member from the board of all of them as a representative. The Board of Appeals, as required by Code 42.12.130, was Robin Simpson, Adrian Saunders, and Lori Quinn. The mayor is required to also nominate 2 alternates are Jason Osborne and Greg Smith. Advisory representatives for the airport, Dell Buckman, Butch Pennywell, Anthony Gage, and Jack Coleman. Health Doctor, Dr. Rodney Yeager. Treasurer, Sonia Johnson. City Attorney, John Russell. Building Inspector, Bob Altizer. Building Commissioner, Bob Altizer. And Civil Defense Director and Emergency Preparedness Director, Chief Zach James. So, do we have a second?
I have a question.
Yes.
On the Board of Appeals, you have 2 alternate members, but
I'm sorry, what?
you have 2 alternate members on the Board of
Yes.
Appeals. However, it says there must consist of 5 members. So are the alternate, I think that they all 5 would be.
I'm sorry, what are you looking at?
Board of Appeals.
This article of the zoning chapter, this that we sent out, says consists of 5 members.
Oh, that's not mine. That's your all. So this is the Board of Appeals.
I understand, but these are alternate members, so it seems to me they would need to be members and not
Board of
alternates.
Appeals and the
The Board of Appeals and
Adjustments
Board
are
of
2
different
different
boards.
things.
What the
They're
heck?
two. I know.
There's 2
They're 2 different boards.
What is Board of Appeals?
I'd have to read it to you.
Okay.
It's a little complicated. What we found when we're doing our review is we haven't had a Board of Appeals as the code requires for probably 6 or 8 years. We had a nuisance board that is not required by the code. We've had that for several years. What we're trying to do is go back and do some housekeeping. And you know, if the code requires that we do it, if the board doesn't like, let me rephrase that, if the board should choose to repeal or modify an existing ordinance, it is within your power to do so. But until we do that, we have responsibility to follow the code. Agree, Mr. City Attorney? So,
What is the role of the administration committee? Sorry, I have questions.
it'll be typically financial and policy making. And of course, as you might imagine, there will probably be some situations where both both the operations committee and the administration committee will need to have communication if that policy is relative to public safety or public works
And
beyond administration.
Planning and Zoning Commission only has one person on it.
No, they don't. But what happens, Robin, is when that was originally established, I think back in 1986, the original term for members was alternate. There were 4-year terms and 3-year terms, and all the other members that are on the Planning and Zoning Commission are current members. Mr. Benson, his appointment expires June 1st, 2025, and what I'm asking the board to do is to reappoint him for an additional 4-year term. Any other questions about the recommendations?
The administrative committee basically is replacing.
They're not really replacing anybody. They're going to do the same thing they've always done.
Right, but I mean, is it replacing eco development or?
No.
Okay.
No. What one of the things that we're going to talk about this later when we do the nomination. I have additional responsibility to nominate members for the Economic Development Board, and we'll be doing that later.
Okay, so that's
later. And we had that discussion, and we could not determine, or at least I couldn't determine, that until this entity is up and running, and whether or not we need to have an additional economic development committee separate from the one that the voters just approved, which is the additional board, by the way. So until we can determine there's a necessity to have a dual role within the city, the voters have spoken. They passed the issue. They have their tax base. They have their appointed members from 3 different county commissions, 2 members from the school district, and this board will be approving, hopefully, the nomination of 4 individuals that will represent the city of Monroe City. They will receive their tax. They will make within the guidelines. There are very specific recommendations on the spending of those. This board has to approve those spending decisions. So it's not going to function a whole lot different than what the previous economic development committees operated, except for they have funds.
So now there's money.
And they get to make decisions.
Now something can get done.
Well, I would certainly think that would be the expectation, yeah. So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second on the floor? I can't recall. Second. We have a motion second on the floor to approve the mayoral appointments as discussed. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
Motion carries. Okay, the next thing we have is, you want me to do this? You want me to go ahead and do this? Sure. Okay. And the Board of Aldermen, the board is required to make the recommendation to appoint a city clerk. I recommend to the board for their consideration to appoint Jeanette Henderson as the city clerk.
I'll make that. You make the recommendation. I'll make the motion.
Okay.
To appoint
We have
Jeanette.
a motion on the floor to appoint Jeanette Henderson as the city clerk. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to appoint Jeanette Henderson as city clerk. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay. Motion carries. Next recommendation to the board is to consider appointing April Smith as the deputy city clerk.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion on the floor to appoint April Smith for deputy city clerk. Second.
I second.
And a second. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion carries. The board is required to appoint 2 members from the membership of the board to the Planning and Zoning Committee as your representatives to the Planning and Zoning Commission. current members are Greg Smith and Jason Osborne. Do any of the members wish to nominate other members individually or separately to be on the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I nominate Greg Smith and Jason Osborne to continue their seats on the planning and zoning committee.
Try, Greg.
We have a motion for Greg, not going to defend himself.
I'll second
You'll
that.
tell him, won't you? Okay, we have a second.
Yes.
We have a motion second on the floor to appoint Greg Smith and Jason Osborne as alderman members, board members to the Planning and Zoning Commission. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. I think that, okay, for the appointing 5 members to the Board of Adjustments, and of course we attached the ordinance to their earlier mailing. There are no constraints on residency. You may choose to consider citizens only, but you will need to come back at some point in time in the very near future with your recommendations to the board of whom those 5 members are. But I don't think we're going to be able to do that tonight unless you've already selected those people and discussed it with them. Or you can choose 5 board members. It's your choice. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would work. No, okay. All right, well, let's moving right along. Okay. From your membership, board members, you must nominate and elect a president of the board who also shall serve as the mayor pro tem.
I nominate Jason Osborne to be mayor pro tem.
I second that. All in favor say
Aye.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
That was all fast.
Yeah.
Or change his mind.
You're so, you're so good at it.
We have a motion second on the floor to elect Mr. Jason Osborne as president of the board. All in favor say aye.
aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. President. Okay, going back to the agenda. Okay, the next thing we have on the agenda is the
Strange.
Clean Getaway Auto Spa. Let's see what we have within our book here under that. 9.
You guys ready?
To go.
All right. Okay, so I bought the car wash, the Brownings, most of you know, a couple years ago. At that time, everything's about 20, 25 years old, and I knew I was going to have to replace everything. And this young man happens to own a company that has all the equipment for car washes. And so we started discussions, and we looked at doing a total upgrade of the car wash. We're talking new automatic bay, like state of the art, like they have handled. New self-serve bays that have like 12 different options, and lights and ice cream and whistles and all that shit. So anyway, as we're doing this, and of course I do, no offense, because none of you guys were here when these rates were, they were rates for like water and electric and stuff, and sewer fairly high in Monroe City, and we all know that. But anyway, as we were looking at going forward with this investment, which is a very substantial investment, Vince did some studying, and we already knew some of this. But anyway, he did a little work to see what other utilities were in the area. And anyway, we're just gonna go with that.
I'd say, so our business is selling to investors in small towns, rural areas across the country, typically under 10,000 people. And we have pro formas that we provide to these potential investors, and our underwrite is typically 10 to 12% of your revenue goes to utility costs. When I saw Jerry's numbers, I thought there was an error because they're almost 20%.
And guys, I gave you a packet, sorry.
Yeah.
I gave you a packet that you can go through and see how these utilities are. Like, go to page 2, maybe.
Yeah,
No, 3.
Yeah. But And if you exclude some outliers, like I would say Palmyra would be another outlier where if you remove those from the data set, I mean, we're nearly twice as high as what we would typically see. And again, like I don't want to make sure that we're clear that we're not asking for any special treatment, but I do want to make sure that folks know how we're having to compete against neighboring towns and across the country, and it's harder across the state, where it's harder to justify putting the investments in this car wash when another 10% of your revenue is going to utility costs. And if I go back to the first page, some of the things that Jerry was touching on, a brand new touchless automatic, brand new self-serve system across with added functionality and dryers in bay, waxes, lava coats, I mean, things that you'll see at, when you're in major metropolitan areas as far as add-on services. And that will be the only one for pretty much 20 miles in every direction. So there's a lot of people that use, Jerry, and no offense to Jerry, but that car wash doesn't do a very good job. And you can't really get a car wash in this town with that's quality.
I'll tell them what I think about that later.
But this will fix that. You don't have to drive to Hannibal. You don't have to drive to Macon to get a car wash. So it'll add a lot of value to the town. I think it'll bring people from as far as, even south of Stoutsville, where your next nice wash is probably in Mexico. But
Yeah, actually, people come from from Shelbyville now because to use our not so good car wash. So actually, it does actually draw people in from other towns, and it will draw. I went to Shelbina the other day. There's this. If you think mine's bad, a lot of these other areas just don't have very good car washes, and I think Monroe right now, there's people that drive to Hannibal to use there.
Yeah.
And there's people who drive from Shelbina or from Shelbyville to use ours.
There's people from Perry drive over too.
But but I mean, not to get too much in the weeds, but it'll trace your car. It'll be 18 inches between all sides of the car when it's washing. Right now, it just runs on a rail, and if you have a short car, you're not going to get a good wash in the back. If you have a long car, it's pretty good. So all that's to say is we want to put money into the wash. We want to do this, but I think we're asking that the council take a commercial approach to what we're trying to do and a reasonable approach. And I think what we'll outline here in a few other pages is it's not pulled out of thin air. I think we've got a lot of data for what we're asking for. But blowers, new point of sale, loyalty program, membership program, free vacuums, those are some of the things we're contemplating for this new wash. On the benchmarking, again, just sewer is what's really crazy. I mean, if you look at our sewer rates, especially if you exclude on the second page, this is the per 1,000 gallons of fresh water. If you exclude Palmyra from the data set, I mean, even if you include them, they're 720, and we're at 1177 per 1,000 gallons. That's cost prohibitive in a lot of ways. And
that's over 50% higher than everyone else.
Yeah. And so going on to the next page, so this is kind of what we're driving at. When you, especially in touchless washing, a good portion of your water does not make it down sewer drain. There's a diagram on the right here that shows fresh water that's coming in off the main. You go into the car wash. Then we're going to have a reverse osmosis reject tank that's going to help with efficiency. So we'll recycle that water. But and then to the right, your clean cars, they're actually dragging water out. So I don't know if you've ever been to the wash on a busy day, but if you look at the street, it'll look like it's raining. It's not raining. That's water that we are getting off the main, washing the car. That car pulls that water with it out onto the road, or it aerosols with the jet with the power washers, and it goes out the bay. It's a known thing in car wash. It's called evaporation and carry out. And there's two studies here. Both of them from the ICA, which is fairly renowned in the industry. And that percentage of your water, they study this by actually putting meters on these and taking sampling and figuring out what those percentages are. But they range between 20 and 33% of your water off the main is actually aerosoled or in evaporation or carry out. And that doesn't include anything that comes in. I'll let Jerry talk about the process, but with our pit.
With our holding pit, so we have in each bay we have a holding pit, and they're, quote me on this, 5 feet by 8 feet, something like that.
Yeah.
And the long and short of it is, what happens is you come in to clean your car. Well, all the solids go to the bottom, not all of them, a lot of them. And then at the very top, there's a little 2-inch pipe, and that's where the water will flow out to the sewer. So I collect all the trash and stuff in the bottom, and then once a month we pump that out. We pump it out and we put it out on my farm out here miles south of town. So that definitely does not go in the sewer because I pump it out. And so that's about 3,000 gallons a month, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's 3,000 gallons that doesn't go in the sewer. And then as a rule, 30%, 20 to 30% does not go into the sewer anyway because of evaporation, carry out, and so on and so forth. Like if it's 6 miles an hour out there and you're spraying in one of the self-serve bays, you'll see it all shoot out the front of it or all shoot out the back of it. Because if I park my truck there too close, I get re-washed again.
Well, there's a reason you're damp after you do self-serve.
Right. So really, just in a nutshell, we aren't asking for any drop in utilities at all. What we're asking for is to give us what we deserve, and that 30% of our sewer does not go into the sewer. So why should we be paying for that 30% sewer that's not going in the sewer? Especially when we've already established as a town that individuals can purchase sewer savers for watering their yards, watering their animals, whatever it might be. And we've already established that if you are not putting stuff into the sewer, you should not be forced to pay for that sewage. And it's already established through the city. There's also a very big company in Monroe City that I know pays zero for their sewer because everything goes out on trucks from a certain area. You know what I mean? So, it's already been established that you don't pay sewer for like big fertilizer places that take all their water out of town.
But that's metered.
What's that?
That usage is metered.
It might be metered. Yeah, I don't know. It could be metered for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the customer is the one purchasing that sewer saver meter. We're not giving it out on a deposit. They're purchasing that.
Now, so you know for sure that Ricketts pays for their meter. I don't know. Even though I owned the business for numerous years, you know that they are metered and it's not.
I was referring to the other one.
Okay.
Especially with the liquid fertilizers and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
They have a separate meter that we read.
But unfortunately, in our industry, you can't meter it. That's why these studies were done, because you can't meter effectively. To meter it, first of all, there's ways you could still put it down the sewer after it goes through the meter, like on the sewer saver, right? That's not foolproof.
Right.
But you can't meter what's going down 6 different drains, and it's cost prohibitive. And it's just, how would you get down there to measure it? And it's separation tanks, right? So that's where what's going down the sewer. So I think what we're trying to do is lean on hard data that's proven, that's well accepted across the country, and come up with something that's fair. And I don't think, again, I think our point is, we're not trying to win one over anyone in town. We should pay, and I guess I'll differ a little bit from Jerry, and I think our utilities are very high, and I think we should work to get them down. But I think we should work to get them down for everybody, not on special interest. This is specific to what we do, and we have the data that supports it. It's not going down the drain, so we should, in principle, if we're not using the sewer, I think the current statutes that support sewer saver and all that say that you shouldn't pay for the sewer if you're not using it. So I guess that's.
Why would you want us to pay for the sewer if we aren't using it?
Yeah.
That's my question. It makes absolutely no sense. Just because people in the past have done it, like, for one thing is, before Vince ever got here, it was on my agenda to do this anyway, and I'd already found out that 30%, left and was not going down the sewer. And another thing is I'm taking 90% of the stuff that would be really hard to get out, I'm taking and putting it on my farm. So, and that is a cost of $600 per month. And actually, if you look at what we're asking for, which is a reduction of 30% of our sewer, only sewer, nothing else, no electric, no water, nothing else, just what we aren't using. We're asking for that 30%. Well, I still have to spend $600 every month to take that other stuff, gunk, that should be, if I'm paying for it, I should deliver it to your sewage plant. Now listen to me. No, if I'm paying for that sewer, I should be delivering that to your sewer plant, and not out, which is real close to my farm. Pretty simple. But I'm not doing that, so I'm still paying that $600. So even if you were to reduce our sewer by the 30%, which would be what, $500 a month approximately, I'm still spending $600 more to get that stuff out there, and agreeing that I put it on my pasture then because I'm not paying for it then. So because that's part of the 30% carry out. So then, yeah, I'm liable for it, and I got to put it out there on my fields.
Yeah, I think that even though it seems like a small matter, potentially, for us, it helps this investment pencil out. And I think it's a good thing for the town. I think it's a good thing for everyone that uses the car washes. I think I'm here because I support it and I think it's fair. So I guess that's my request for your consideration.
Yeah, I mean, simply all we want is what's fair, and if it's, like I said, before I raised the rates out at the car wash, we were over 24% for our utilities, when everybody else is 8 to 10. And how do you can't compete with that? I mean, you got to admit you can't compete with it. So if all we're doing is asking you to get us down from 18 to 16%, where we're still 6% over everybody else, and all we're asking is for fair and equitable service, from you guys. That's all we're looking for. And there's more data. We've got stacks and stacks of data when we're saying 30%. It's not like some places are 13 and some places are 82. I mean, we got tons and tons of data saying that this is correct.
Yeah, and you can see a lot of it on.
Would it be fair to say, because I heard Jerry, I heard everything you said when you made the comment that regardless of this new venture, this was on your
absolutely.
Would it be a misrepresentation of what you have said to suggest that all car washes have 30% takeaway, carry away?
That's exactly what we're saying.
All car washes.
Most car washes. I mean, so you.
I guess, but probably. I mean, yes. I think it would be a misrepresentation to say that all of them are 30%, but some of them are probably at 25% and some are 35%. So the average is 30%, and I don't have exactly how many.
Well,
if that's the mean number.
There's a reason why I ask. I would and I'm not attempting to sway the board's decision, whatever decision they make. I will fully support. But this does indicate to me that whatever should the board decide to act upon your request, they should fully expect a very similar request from the other car wash that's already in existence.
That is potentially, I would agree. I mean, I think that would be the logical, fair thing to do now.
I mean, if I owned it, I would. I'm just saying.
No, absolutely. And you're asking about the 30%, and now that I think about it, I've never thought about it. But Monroe City, queen of the prairie, flat ground, us out in the open, is there probably more evaporation and carry out than ours and others? Probably a lot. I mean, we're probably on the top end of it, not the low end, because a lot of these car washes are in the middle of cities that have a lot of areas that stop wind and stuff. I mean, when it's blowing out there 5 miles an hour, you want to shut the door.
We got pretty flat town.
Yeah. So the question, I mean, I have no way. We don't have any way to know because it costs us $250,000 probably to put in these whatever to find out how much we're going to save. But yeah, I would think we'd be on the high end of the 30.
I would think that the other wash in town though, without the automatic is where you use your water. So the automatic, you're using hundreds of gallons per wash.
And if you look at the pressure that's going through that automatic too, that's where a lot of that evaporation comes from.
I can't.
Like theirs might be 12%. Ours is 30.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert in this area, but it would seem to me that that if the board would make a determination on an acceptable percentage, would be probably the best thing to do, because there is still going to be, if you put the whole system on a water saver, I'm not sure how that would help. It wouldn't help us. And guys, don't take us the wrong way, but if it's going down the sewer, we got to charge for it.
No, absolutely.
that's-
Yeah, and that's
I
why.
agree.
But then again, if it doesn't go down sewer, we shouldn't have to pay for it. Exactly
Well,
the same.
I think the only thing that, I've heard every word you said, and the only rational, thing I can come up with is the board would need to make a determination on what percentage, they would want to utilize, whether 25% or 30% or 35%, and then, God forgive me, we probably have to contact the other owner of the other car wash and give them the same thing, in order to be fair.
No, absolutely. Well, it wouldn't be. You definitely couldn't do it for us and not for him.
Well, I wouldn't propose that myself.
Maybe y'all want to put it on the next meeting for more discussion?
That's fine. I mean, we just got through selecting committees. I think the appropriate thing would be to do is to kick this over to the operations committee, have them have a meeting, discuss it, pull in, schedule it, determine who they might want to pull in to help them in their deliberations and do it the way it should be done.
What's your timeline for, I mean, so part of the talking, that's gonna take, I would assume, months. And I've got
What's your
bids.
deadline?
Well, I've got bids. I mean, first of all, I think, the reason that Jerry, me and I are talking is because we want to do this. And we have, I have bids from electricians, which is separate, that's another thing perhaps, but I have bids to upgrade our service, and we're trying to get that started, and we can't, everything's sequenced out, right? And we want to get this done as soon as possible so we can start paying off this equipment. I mean, I would only ask them if there's a possibility of streamline, if they're willing to vote on it now, I mean, we would appreciate it for timeliness. If that's not possible, that is what it is.
And it's, the only question you should have, in my opinion, is what the percentage should be. I mean, because it is, using any form of logic, it tells you that that's only fair. And, so if you can't bid on, or can't decide on it now, you ought to be able to decide on it pretty quick, I would think. We've got another stack this big of all the data. This supports, and where it all came from.
And me personally, Mike, you're the chairman of the operations committee. This would go to them. Would go to that committee. What I think would be ideal is for you to provide that information to the operations committee, the additional information that you have in possession. Mike, how quick could you get a meeting together? Because our next board meeting, obviously in 2 weeks, 22nd. Do you think that you and your committee could get the information, that they would provide the information?
Yeah, we'll get you.
You all get together, and of course,
Yeah.
I know you'll look at, you'll decide who you need to pull in, which outside resources, and have a meeting and have a recommendation for this board by the 22nd. Is that reasonable?
Yes.
Is that soon enough?
I think it works, yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate
I mean,
it.
that's great.
I know that, things don't move at lightning speed, but that's, 20 seconds.
Yeah,
I appreciate you guys working on this. Yeah.
Yep. Would be great.
Well, we obviously want to.
Sure.
But I think would behoove us to.
Well, right now, you're kind of trusting us on the 30%, so you might as well get something in your hand saying that's right.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, and then let them put together their recommendations to the full board, and instead of us sitting here and hashing over for a half an hour, 45 minutes, trying to make the right decision, let them tell us what it should be.
Sounds perfect.
What's your average gallons of sewer usage?
That's on here. I can unpack that now.
That would be something that you guys they could provide.
I have that.
We have it.
Yeah.
You can do that at the committee meeting.
And so that can be in.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
We'll get all right to you. You let me know if there's something specific.
Yeah.
Lori, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
No,
Appreciate it.
thank you. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing we have on the agenda, folks, under tab 9 was the previous uh, recommendation to the board regarding a real estate sales plan. This goes all the way back to the 2020 audit from the Secretary of State's office regarding not having a stated plan for the intended use of or sale of excess city-owned property. And so what has been presented to the board is within the packet. It's really, we looked at this back in March, and the first step was to review the property list, which we have not made any decisions on that property list. So we probably need to kick that over to, if the board wants to even proceed with executing a plan, which is basically what the auditors' recommendations were. This is a plan. It doesn't mean you have to execute it exactly as stated, but number one would be to review the property list that we have. And I think that I would recommend is that go to the administration committee, let them review the property list, have them come back to the full board with their recommendations on which of those properties, if any, or all, or part thereof, they want to put into the plan. Then we would go out and do a RFQ, a request for qualifications, or bid a request for professional services. And of course, we do that. We'll have to put together an ad, which we already have done. As far as the bid
We already
request.
did that.
I thought we've done all this.
Yeah, I thought we already did that part.
We've done, the board's not approved anything.
No, they haven't. This was presented, like you said, in March, and then we really didn't do much at that meeting at all, just kind of gave you the information.
Yeah, it's kind of
to
a
look at,
get it
review.
started.
Mhm.
So it never actually went out before?
No, we have not. And what happens is this board could tonight say, we authorize you to do the bid request. We can go ahead and get that information going, because those bids, professional services, have to come back to this board. You have to review the bids. You have to make a determination on who you want to represent the city's interests. We could go ahead and get that part started, and at the same time have the administration committee, you guys, taking a look at the list, going, yeah, we want to do this one. No, we're not going to do anything with that one, because you may have some other ideas or plans for how this board wants to move forward. So would you guys,
I'll make a motion to authorize the bid request for
Okay.
professional services.
that works for me. We have
I'm sorry, Robin, that was it.
To authorize the bid request, publication, and solicit bids for professional services for real estate brokerage services.
we have a second for whatever it was she just made a motion.
I'll
That was
second it.
good.
Request for proposed service.
We have a motion second on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you
This
very
would
much.
include, I know, I'm pretty certain, you mentioned auction.
We talked about
Didn't you mention something about auctions?
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe doing an auction instead of the.
Well, we have
Maybe mixed.
an
depending on the
additional
property.
agenda item that is very specific to information that all of them involved for. We're going to address that later. I think what would happen in the best of worlds is the administration committee will take a look at the property list, and I think that they could decide which properties would best benefit from a professional brokerage handling that, getting the advertisement out, and making sure we get the best buck for our dollar versus an auction. There may be some properties that, because of their, we have in possession professional representations of their network in the current real estate. Well, it'll be a year-old, 2-year-old real estate market. But those can be utilized as a basis for a reserve But if you do no reserves, you may get $100 bid and it's gone, and it may have higher value. But I think I'd like the administration committee to look at those properties and make that decision on which ones need to be handled by a professional and which one can be done by an auction with a local auctioneer, and let them tell us what they would like to do based on their best judgment, and then we'll utilize the process to go out and get the bids for a professional service. We will engage them to handle those properties that the committee and the board determined that would be best handled by them and provide the most benefit and value to the taxpayers. Because what this is taking cash and putting it back into general reserves. All right, moving right along. We have also, the next thing we have is Dalfa Thompson Park. The situation there is we want to run an ad in the paper. Is that correct? For that property?
I haven't heard anything about this.
Okay, well let me bring you up to speed.
It's part of the rest
It's
of
on this
isn't it?
list.
Is it on this? Well, I know it
It
is.
is.
I know it is. I know it is.
Yeah,
But what had come up is someone has expressed a
Interest.
current interest, like now. Oh, okay. And so the thought process was we could go ahead and put that out for bids in the local papers and on the internet and our Facebook page, blah 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 blah. Set a deadline for receipt of the written bids on that property, and then the board can make a decision whether they want to accept anyone's offer or not. It's been put out there before, no one showed interest. And so me being me, someone comes along and says, I'd like to buy that. We can't just sell it to anyone that comes along. It has to be marketed and has a set price to it. We have to make it available to everyone to bid on under that.
We removed the playground equipment on that too.
Say it again?
Hasn't the playground equipment been removed? I mean,
Yes, it has. And I think the only other encumbrance on it is a sign that could be removed by whoever bought it. So what do you think? What do you want to do? Let's put it out for bids, or let's put it in the paper for bids.
do you think this person is serious about wanting it?
Are they serious?
Sure.
There's been interest in the past in addition to this person that you all are talking about. From
Well,
someone
I mean,
else.
we sold the other one like that, and it went out for bid, we had multiples, and
Well, and it kind of came about the same way.
Yeah.
Someone stepped forward and said, hey, we really like to buy that. And we said, well, fine, that's great. I'm glad that you'd like to buy it. We're going to have to put it out for bids. And we did. And just so happened that the person who initiated the conversation was also the high bidder. Doesn't always work out that way.
I'll make a motion to advertise for bids for the Delphi Thompson Park.
We have a motion on the floor to put out for bids the sale of the Delphi Thompson Park. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please.
well, if it's a sealed bid, can't we reject any
Yeah, you
bids?
can reject them, so.
Yeah, let's just do that.
No, that other one had the reserve.
You know what?
Yeah,
I have a valuation on that property. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. Would you guys be okay if we use the valuation that was provided to us by a real estate company back in 2023? We'll look at that and, Okay.
Yeah, I'll add that to my motion that we have a reserve bid.
okay, we have a motion on the floor to put out for bid the Alpha Thompson Park for sale with a reserve. Do we have a second? We have a motion second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries.
did we need to set dates?
We will. I'm just assuming with the flexibility, it's going to probably be a week or so before we can get started on this.
Right.
And we'll get that going. I'm not a real estate expert. When someone comes up and says, hey, I want to buy that, I think, you ought to try to take advantage of it if in fact they can complete the sale. Next thing we have is the Monroe City Public Library Board of Trustee recommendation. The Monroe City Public Library has offered a Board of Trustee position to Charlita, correct pronunciation? Charlotta Washington. Mrs. Washington is the elementary and middle school librarian for Monroe City Public Schools, and she asked that the board approve her addition, that this board approve her recommendation to add our Charlotta to the board of the Monroe City Public Library, and that is correct. These they make the recommendation. This board must approve their nomination to that trustee position. Would someone like to make a motion to approve that recommendation?
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the recommendation of, the recommendation of Charlita Washington to the Board of Trustees for the Monroe City Public Library. We have a second.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no. Motion carries. Okay. Next thing we have is a street closure request from DTMC. That closure request, I do believe, is in the packet. Is that correct?
I
handed it out.
them out separately, or it might be in the packet as well. But I just made this, it's just the first, sorry, I'm here on two separate things, so my first tab is the DTMC. Drawing, if you want this one.
You want to hand that to me so I don't have to spend the rest of the night trying to find it?
The May
Okay.
market is May 17th. I think I'm the one here talking.
Okay, May 17th, 2025?
Yep. Next
Okay.
weekend, they just want to close the normal streets that they do. It's in St. Jude's. They purchased the liability insurance and everything.
Okay, so
Yeah,
what,
the event, kind of like normal. I think they went some. Oh, I'm part of this. Picnic tables, trash cans. We have some old barricades. We've got new barricades. I don't know, but just to close off some of the streets. Can we use all that good stuff we normally
All you want.
We bring it to us with the packs.
No.
Yes, you will. What else do I say on that? Anything else?
well,
Oh, well, okay, so part of the deal for this is it's preservation month, and so we're doing a special Queen of the Prairie sort of thing, and they wanted to showcase some of the, we mentioned like the city museum here, having it open if people wanted to see it. I don't know if that is as important because I don't know that we're gonna get the scavenger hunt done, but St. Jude's Church, if people wanted to look inside of that, is that something that could be open that day?
we did
If
last
it's not
time.
rented, yeah. I don't know.
That would be a thing.
I'll have to check.
Yeah, we need to check that. So what you're asking for is street closures of Winter Street, 1 block off Main, First Street, 1 block off Main Street, Vine Street by St. Jude's Park, Court Street adjacent to St. Jude's Park, and Catherine Street adjacent to St. Jude's Park for this celebration. In addition, picnic tables and trash cans at St. Jude's Park. Rodney, that a deal? Is that a problem?
Might be getting them out there. But no, it's no problem. I got it.
Okay.
That
Barricades.
takes a while to load.
Oh, I'm sure it does. What do you?
Got 4 other tanks. Yeah.
Well, let's talk.
Picnic tables aren't light.
Excuse me.
Them picnic tables aren't light.
No,
we tried to-
I suggest bringing them up here and leaving them instead of hauling them back and forth. Aren't you gonna have more than one deal? Last year we brought them up here in the park.
So leave them
Or
throughout the
we
duration of the
summer.
summer months.
We did last
Pick them up in the fall.
It's fine.
I'm fine with that.
However you've done it in the
Okay.
past.
We did it last year, so it's hard on them.
Well, if you need additional people, can we get people from the gas department and electric to help us? Okay. So that handles that. Barricades.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Now, they're
then,
wooden ones, they're not Merrimack approved.
That's what they use.
That's okay, we just don't, it's just so people not to drag under it.
They're not flagging on Main Street.
electricity in St. Jude's Park. No issue? Okay, and then City Museum or in St. Jude's Park. City Museum's upstairs. That means this would be open. Is that a problem?
Someone would need to.
Someone would need to be here.
I'll check for sure on that request, I'm not sure
Okay.
that is.
Get back to us on that.
As much anymore,
All
I
right.
think, as much as like St. Jude's, I think.
I'll make a motion to approve the request of DTMC for the May 17th, 2025 celebration.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the request from DTMC for the May 17th celebration. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve the request from DTMC for the preservation celebration on May 17th, 2025. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Next thing we have, a very simple form. What we need is for the board to approve this resolution. This is a resolution of a governing body of an applicant, we're the applicant, City of Monroe City. This is to authorize the mayor to submit an application for money from their fund, the revolving fund program. It would actually be a grant. We wouldn't have to pay it back. It's basically this board authorizing me to act on behalf of the city in applying for this money for the engineering grant for the emerging contaminants that would be addressed within our water, if needed to be, would be addressed within our water treatment facility. What's cool about this, if that's the right word to use, but what's nice about this, I guess, is getting in early, getting the application in early, getting the engineering results back, and then being able to get in to the pool of available free money from the state to address a potential new requirement ahead of time, because it's a chemical called PFAS. It's been out there since the 40s. It derives commonly from the non-stick coating on cooking utensils. And so it's almost guaranteed it's going to become a requirement to control it within the drinking water supply. It will require additional measures at water treatment plants throughout the state of Missouri, not just ours. So we need to try to get ahead of the curve on this one. So we need a recommendation to authorize this resolution. Is that correct? So I need a motion to authorize the resolution.
I'll make a motion to authorize the resolution.
We have a motion on the floor to authorize resolution number 1-2025. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve resolution 1-2025. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving right along, the next thing we have on the agenda is the mayor of the city is required to nominate 4 individuals to serve on the Economic Development Committee. Sales Tax Committee. It's complicated. Sales Tax Board. Let me try that one more time. Okay. The mayor is required to nominate 4 members to the Economic Development Sales Tax Board. The recommendation will be Josh Potterfield for a 3-year term, Jason Chin for a 2-year term, Brad Fauner for a 1-year term, and Suzanne Quigley for a 1-year term. I would entertain a motion to approve my nominations.
I'll make a motion to approve the nominations of the
We have a motion on the floor to approve the nomination of Josh Potterfield, Brad Bonner, Jason Shen, and Suzanne Quigley to the Economic Development Sales Tax Board. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Okay, next up, unless I'm missing something.
You need to break it down by the county.
No, because those are county appointed, we don't have
We-
anything in
we-
that.
we don't have anything.
Appointed, we don't have anything in that.
Gotcha.
Yep, no action
So
required.
that's, yeah. I provided you the information of the others that are on there, but
Right, that's not our say, yeah.
Well, I think that your board's going to be comprised of some very, very good individuals. Each one of these people should bring a lot to the table. Consequently, next we have what are called the council committee reports. First would be planning and zoning.
We haven't had any committees, have we? I don't think we've had any because you said last meeting you were gonna.
Okay, that's fine.
We're not poll.
So all of these are basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, with that being requested, we will move right along to department reports. I'll save some time. All right. First on the agenda will be the report from the police chief.
Okay, got just a couple of things. First off, one of our patrol cars is back down in the shop. We're getting an estimate of $3,000 to get this one fixed. It's the same car that has been under 3 or 4 times in the past year. So,
Darn.
I just need to get approval to go ahead and get that fixed.
Which car is that?
It's 102.
102.
Same problems or different problems?
Actually, pretty similar problems. It's the lifters, valves, and all of the injectors. Possibly a camshaft issue as well.
Oh my.
I thought they already fixed that.
The camshaft was, so that will be covered if that is an issue. The lifters, valves, injectors, none of those have been replaced. So those will be one of our costs.
Do we know the value of what we put into repairs on this vehicle?
On that one, we are probably right around 17,000, and that's not if we're including what it would have been for the engine replacement at the beginning.
Because it was under warranty.
Yes, it was under warranty at that time. Yeah.
Is this just a lemon?
It sounds like.
They put it out of its misery.
That is next on my list to discuss.
Well, unfortunately, not anything to do with this particular issue, but I'm very well aware of the problems that GM has been having with their displacement on demand in these vehicles. And I doubt that anyone could have foreseen this, but this is not unique to us. Everyone that utilizes these particular vehicles, whether it is this particular model or a 1500 or a 2500, uses those same series of LS engines. It's a big problem, and we can expect that. Well, again, I'm no expert, but I've talked to a couple people who are, and we can expect this to continue. So I don't know what steps we're going to have to take.
I've got some options I was going to present after this.
Okay.
The main thing is, without that running, I mean, we're not going to get anything out of this trading or anything like that. So until we get something else set up, we have to have that one back in. My plan is to bring it back in and turn it into a reserve car. Go ahead and get the Explorer running, get that back up. It's very dependable, reliable, low maintenance. We're looking at under $3,000 in maintenance on it for the past year.
Sure.
Someone get that rotated, put a problem car on the back burner for a while.
Okey dokey, I get it.
So, do you need something from us?
Yes, I just need to get it okay to have them go ahead and repair it. Like I said, the estimate is 3,000, so
Is this
it
a
may come in
dealership or versus?
it's post.
That, I don't think we have an option. I entertain a motion to approve the,
I'll make a motion to
Okay.
authorize the repairs.
all right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the expenditure for repair of the vehicle. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve the repair of the vehicle. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. There you go, chief.
Okay, I appreciate that. So the next thing that I have is I would like to be able to get the Explorer outfitted to be able to be one of our primary cars with that. I've just got to get the stuff for the computer system. Comes out to $1,041. That covers everything except for the tablet itself. And that will allow us to get that back in primary spot, put 102 on the back burner.
Okay.
That way we can hopefully avoid all of those maintenance issues.
What was, I apologize, what was the amount of money?
1,041 and 42 cents.
Okay, we need to approve this, accept a motion to approve the expenditure of $1,041.42. We understand it's an estimate, okay, we get it. Do we have a motion on the floor?
What was it for? The what?
To get the Explorer.
All of the electronics inside of
Oh, so it's just-
screens.
It's gonna turn into one of the main cars instead of the backup. It's what I understand.
I was gonna ask, is there anything out of the 102 you can pull out?
So that's pulling everything out that we can out of that one and replacing.
I understand.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the expenditure of $1,041.42. Of course, this estimate may be higher. We have a second.
A second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve that expenditure. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay. Motion carries, chief.
Okay, thank you all for that. So the next thing on the list, this is the good news part, no more spending money. So I have already been talking with Highway Patrol about some of their used vehicles they have down at the state fleet office. Wanting to look into their Ford Explorers. They do have some that are a little bit older models, which we know for sure from experience. We're driving one of them right now that, like I said, 3,000 in maintenance for the entire year, and that's including tires. So we know that those perform. I wanted to look at getting numbers and quotes on some of those. They are through state bid, so we've already got that guarantee there. Plus, they've got huge inspection from the Highway Patrol Fleet Management. They normally put out very good cars to put back to the counties and municipalities. So I'd like to start looking at being able to get some competitive pricing there. As well as we're looking at going back to some other cars that are even more reliable and less expensive. Looking at some Crown Vics that have actually come up online. They are less expensive by about $15,000 to $18,000. They are very reliable cars. A lot less electronics that we would have to worry about messing everything up all the time. So I would like to also look into being able to kind of speak with dealerships on those as well. I think that would be a good financial step. It would cut down a lot on maintenance that we would be getting. So,
The equipment we have, can we do a lateral transfer or is it vehicle specific?
it is vehicle specific. However, as big as the Crown Vics are, a lot of that equipment will be able to be switched over. The partitions for the back seats, obviously they won't, but a lot of the lights will be able to switch over. Siren boxes, radar units, all of that stuff should be able to be switched. So we'd be looking at minimal amount of equipment we would have to get.
I would venture to guess that we probably spent enough to get almost paid for one this year.
Yes, actually, one of the Crown Vics I'm actually looking at, we
we could have already purchased it, plus had it out there with lights. For the price that we paid on 102.
You know, I don't have a glass ball. If I did, I'd be a millionaire or a big billionaire. Hell, I'd be a Jeff Bezos at a glass ball. But I can almost guarantee you we're gonna be hearing $3,000 to 4,000 over and over and over until we do something different. So,
When did they quit making the Crown Vic?
2012.
Okay.
yeah, they're
So these are 12 we're looking at?
We look at 2011. 2012 is actually had a few issues, so I want to see younger than that, or
Yeah.
older than that. The other thing I would like to propose is that we do these step by step over the next 2 years, and we can get on rotation whenever we're trying to replace these vehicles instead of having everything all at once.
oh, that's a really good
Yeah,
idea.
it makes it tremendously harder. So we
Yeah.
haven't been able to get that done in the past. But I think now's a good time as any to go ahead and start that. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, it's a good report, Chief. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Water.
All right, I don't have a lot. I discussed with the mayor today concerning a leak in the dam at North Lake out at Mosswood, and it needs to be repaired. We talked about this numerous years ago. I brought a estimate to the board of roughly $15,000, and that is to fix it from the water side using bentonite and a long stick backhoe. And essentially you just take super sacks of bentonite, pour it out there, it goes down. As the water leaks out, the bentonite plugs the hole and actually causes a permanent flood. But it's something that we really need to do. So the mayor asked me to go ahead and just inform you that we were looking at it and probably gonna have to act pretty quick because we cannot get to the utilities that are out there because of the seepage. It's too wet to get the electrical truck there, and there's a pole there. We have water and sewer that run through there also.
Have you gotten estimates? I mean,
Is this fresh estimates?
are they
No,
current?
not fresh. We just talked about this morning. We were gonna purchase the bentonite from Farmer's Elevator. And so whatever the going rate is on bentonite is what we were gonna pay from them. And then I just need to find somebody with a long stick hoe. I'm hoping that maybe Mr. Pearl has one. So.
Is it something we need to, George, is it something?
We have a problem that cannot be resolved.
It's just gonna get worse.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
right now, the pole needs to be replaced, there's an underground that needs to be replaced, we have to get that however many thousands of pound back truck in there to evacuate soil to know where the underground's at. It's it's a collection of issues that have all come together at one point.
Ballpark, how much you thinking?
I'm still thinking that 15K is not really out of the ballpark.
Because we'd be doing all the labor.
Well, there's really gonna be no labor.
Just a matter of.
It's a matter of, we gotta get the bentonite up on the dam so the long stick hoe can pick it up, take it out. They'll cut the bottom of it and just sprinkle it out over the, essentially you gotta get out far enough where the dam goes down and actually meets the dirt. It's called the seal. We need to get the bentonite down by the seal because that's what's happening. It's coming underneath the seal of the dam. So.
Is it something that we need to act on before the next
Yes,
board,
ma'am.
before the next board meeting?
I would say that yes, with the electrical issues that need to be addressed, yes.
Outage if we don't do something soon.
Exactly, because if there's an outage, yeah, there's Mosswood's out of electricity.
Oh, that's not good.
Well, not Mosswood, Lakeview, so you'd be okay, yeah.
Should we make a motion to up to spend?
18,
Yeah.
because stuff's going up in 2 years, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
If there was a reasonable way around this, we obviously we had this discussion. I just don't know what else to do. Who came in and did the review on that? Was it Clear and Associates?
You had told me about that,
Yeah.
and their recommendation was to actually sandbag the land side of the dam, which isn't gonna stop the water from coming through. It's just gonna hold it in place. So, then that would be a Band-Aid that's still not gonna allow us to get there where we need because of it's sloppy. You try to walk across that and it's bad.
You can make a motion to, fix the dam with a spending limit of 18,000 for Mosswood,
For North Lake.
North Lake,
Westlake.
Is it Westlake?
West Lake. The
Isn't
one that
that
the
lake
dam is
over there
leaking
by
out.
Mosswood?
The one out there by Mosswood. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to spend up to $18,000 from Benton Knight to repair the, the leak on the West Lake. Second. We have a motion second on the floor to approve the expenditure up to $18,000 to repair the leak on the, dam, if you will, of the, South Lake. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say no or nay. Motion carries. Thank you very, very
Okay,
much.
The back truck's back and everything's working well on that. We're continuing to bring in grease, at the wastewater plant. That their secondary process did go into effect and we have very small quantities of floating grease anymore. It's not like it
That's good
was.
news.
And I'm continuing with right now, I'm still bringing in 2 loads a week, or 2 loads a day, I'm sorry. 2 loads a day. We just ran out of bacteria, so I'd like to see how things go. I really think that if we have to continue with the bacteria, we should be able to stretch it out for 4 weeks instead of just 2 weeks. So we'd be able to cut that in half and hopefully still keep up the same revenue stream that we have.
See how it does without it. Yeah.
Jive with what you got from, Precision Pumping? I thought we'd be like 7 loads a week.
Yeah, I've had to really cut them back because we sampled right at the end of the month and then we sampled right at the beginning of the month. We had that large rain come through and water was just blowing right through the plant. I didn't want to take too much grease at that point. So yeah, it's
Got it.
We're still on schedule for the 2. And then, Robin, I don't know if you're going to ask, but the last, my last report that I put in showed a very large water loss. I don't think it was in your last packet, and you didn't ask me about it. So I just want to make sure, and you'll have it in your next report. We just don't have it addressed yet. What we found was there were some changes that the city administration downstairs wanted done on the monthly spreadsheet that we provide for our for the report prior to anybody that's here, and we worked through the process, and there were some hidden or there was a rogue formula, and it was adding in additional gallons, and we couldn't find it. It was in a hidden cell on another, tab in the spreadsheet. Finally, I tore the thing apart, rebuilt it, found it, and so yes, the water loss is much more substantial than the negative number that we were providing for the last few months, or how many months it was. So I'm working with the mayor, talking to him about leak detection possibilities, and you'll hear more about that in the future. Any questions for me?
How the fish?
Go ahead.
Are the fish doing better?
We've lost some. When I say some, it's very few, and it's different reasons why. Some of them have gotten to the aeration. They can't live in the aeration. The aeration's the pits on the side.
Mm-hmm.
It's the smaller ones. We had 2 larger ones that we lost, and we had a situation where we had to remove a couple of them, and they were in a bucket. We put them back in. Within a week and a half, they both died, and we knew which ones they were. So, but no, other than that, the fish are.
So a handful.
Yeah, yeah. And like I said, the smaller ones that somehow are getting out into the secondary aeration, them are the ones that we're seeing pass. We're not seeing them dying in the tank.
Okay.
And we did just get back our last oil and grease, and normally the lab we used to use would give us a less than 5. The lab in Hannibal, they gave us at less than 2.3. So, and our limit is 15, so we're still way below.
The river yesterday that came out of the water tower.
Yes. Yes. We have went down to 1 tower temporarily, and so we're using just this water tower. And my guy had to run down to South Lake or Route J Lake to grab the raw water sample that we do daily. And he looked at the SCADA system. SCADA system said we were at 25 foot. When we had both towers on, 25 foot still gave us another hour to an hour and a half for the pumping time. With only this 250,000 gallon, that didn't give us that time. So yes, he was actually pulling into the water plant when I called him, and we did it again today.
I happened to be in Roby and saw that flood. Go right on down.
We are we're putting things in place that will stop that. So
Is there any way to automate that?
for lots of money, yes.
Okay.
So no, everything has to be manual right now. And
So does it sound a buzzer, or is it a phone call, or?
No, normally what happens is we get a phone call from somebody. Yesterday, Chris Whelan called me and said, hey, you're overflowing your water tower. I called my guy, and like I said, he was pulling back into the water plant, and he went ahead and ran in and shut it off. Today, I don't know how much it actually went over, but I called him. He says, I just looked at it a couple minutes ago. It was at 126.9. And he said, I looked at it again, it was at 129. Well, we overflow roughly at 128. So
What do you think the lag is? Do you think it's the internet connection that you have?
I think the internet connection has a lot to do with that out there, yes. But we still have not found, even Starlink wasn't an option for us out there. Because they don't want to do businesses, they only want to do residential.
They kind of like cruise ships.
That's what I've read, and that's what Alex essentially, when he was here, he was looking at it for me also. And that's what he told me. But it is also a big cost, but hopefully we'll get fiber soon.
Yeah, because Brightspeed is lit up their lines now. They're taking appointments now.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they necessarily run it out there, but.
The answer's still no from what I've heard.
I had a feeling.
Until they actually run down 24. And at that point, it's still going to be expensive. You've got to run all the way back.
The rest of the way.
Sure.
Yes.
Thanks, George, appreciate it. Electric, nothing on electric just yet. We're gonna be working with MQA later on, probably early summer, which is not far away, hopefully, to take some more steps on that plan we put together last year to improve our redundancy and also work on a couple of issues that were created several years ago. We want to go back and correct before they become a problem. Gas department, Terry, you here?
Yes. Okay, we would like to hire a seasonal worker to do atmospheric corrosion control and probably little other minor jobs. Anyway, we picked one out at the beginning. Laney Shin, Jim. He's a high school student over at Monroe City High School. He said he could come to work May the 19th. He just worked during the summer, doing all of our painting and stuff at gas meters and risers, which we need to do that. And we had Whitney here. She did a good job.
Yeah.
I wish I could have hired her again, but she's in college now.
You know, one of the things that this administration did, this board did, is we did not replace an individual in the gas department. Our budget should not be negatively impacted in the gas department at all due to our expectations for labor costs if the board were to approve his request.
We have a wage for him.
Minimum wage, 13.75, I believe.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve Lane Chen. Is that his name?
Thank you.
You're welcome. For
We have
the
a
gas.
motion on the floor to approve Mr. Chin.
Lane
Chen.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve hiring Mr. Chin as summer help to be employed within the gas department. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say no. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I didn't turn on the board this year, because we've been dealing with the inspection. I had to answer a bunch more questions again about our casing pipes that are going underneath the roads and the railroads being grounded on our pipe. So we had to prove that they were shorted out. And I don't think any of them are. But, and I typed up a 13-page letter and sent it back to them to let them make their call if it's acceptable or not, what they want us to do anymore, because after you got to replace some of those railroad, you're looking at $20,000.
I know that the board has not been advised all the details relative to those inspections of the portion of the requirements. They're extremely voluminous, and you're dealing with federal and state requirements. And in Terry's defense, he's having to correct deficiencies that are multiple years old. And I think he's been doing a pretty doggone good job of playing catch up. It's not been fun. It's not been easy at all. But hopefully, we'll get this resolved and get this behind us, and Terry's got everything in place to make sure that we don't fall behind again on our reporting and our requirements. So thank you, Terry, very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We did the annual PS readings for the gas system and the rectifier for the feeder main. Feeder main looks good. I mean, other than some stuff we need to do out there front, some corrosion and some barricades. And whoever put the regulate stations together didn't do it right, so we got to go back and repipe some of those. We had a problem with the regulator out at the TBS building. It wasn't locking up, so we had to shut it down. We had USDI come in a couple weeks ago and work on it. He found a little speck of dirt or rust underneath that diaphragm that wouldn't let it lock up or shut completely down. Since our usage has gone down, we noticed it more on all of our pressure recorders that we got all down. We got one at CNR, our shopping center, one out in Mosswood, one at our shop, and then we got another one that's on the 250 side for the town water station.
Good night.
And change those charts every Tuesday. Unless it's a holiday, and get the next day. Working on anodes. I could get about somewhere between 8 and 12 stations that's going to have to be totally rebuilt. And we've been clearing brush still. I'd like to get cross country again and keep going on that and get that done. But we haven't been able to get there yet. And we've been helping the street department do some trees and brush too. And trying to get the leak survey information up to date. I don't think it's been updated since I left in 2015. So we need to get the new services on it. She just cited this today. So I'm working on it.
We'll keep it up.
Good job.
Been busy? You're welcome. I guess all I need.
Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome.
That was a lot.
Thank you, Terry. Oh my. Street, please.
First of all, I'd like to thank Aspect for picking up litter on Earth Day. They picked up a bunch, and 12, 14 people out there. We saw a lot of trash bags, orange vests. I seen them going down East Border Street, all the parks they hit. I told them to leave the trash by the edge of the road. I picked them up. Sheet metal, they picked them up. I seen them dipping down in culverts and everything else. So they had a bunch. Not many left out of the big box of bags. So
It's nice.
I think they did real good. So I wanted to give them a shout out. And I picked out 2 summer help like we usually do. Owen Neff and Zachary Smith. And Zachary can start the 19th and Owen the 27th. I'm just kind of, if y'all agree, bring them in both at the same time, like the 27th, get them drug tested and all the paperwork's done. One or the other. But it's whatever on that. Thanks about that.
Have they been previous?
No, neither one of them.
Okay.
Neither one, brand new. The ones I had last year, college. So, no, these are both brand new. So, that's about all I got.
It's fine.
Okay, so we need a motion to approve. Can you give us the 2 names again, please?
Yes, Owen Neff.
Excuse me.
Owen Neff.
Owen?
Owen Neff. N-E-F-F.
Last name sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Next one?
Zachary Smith.
Zachary Smith.
Yes.
And the wage?
The big minimum wage.
Okay.
$13.75.
All right, I entertain a motion to approve the request from our street department supervisor to employ Owen Neff and Zachary Smith as summer help at minimum wage. Do I have a motion to do that?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion second on the floor to approve employing Owen Neff and Zachary Smith as summer help in the street department. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
I got a question,
Yes.
real quick. I'll make it really quick. When the delivery truck tore the electric out behind Brown and Grace and the
Yeah.
gym there, did we make that no through traffic by our bigger axle trucks?
There's a sign there that says.
There's a sign.
There's a sign. I know we took up there and there is there. That they cut through.
What do you see?
That, they're still coming through there, but there's been a complaint, and it's an ongoing complaint, and it's valid. When people are coming out from behind Brown and Grace and from the gym, heading west on that alley, they don't stop. There is not a stop sign. And there's a residence right there. When they're backing out of their driveway, somebody's around in the corner, and it's nearly caused accidents several times. It's worse during the school year, but it's not good. And there's a lot of foot traffic through there because kids walk that.
They do.
It's not
They
a
do.
street, it's considered an alley.
Right.
Can we put a stop sign on that? Is that something to think about?
Chief James, by ordinance, by code, is the gentleman who would take that under consideration and make a recommendation to the board and authorize that stop sign. It does not have to be done by ordinance. It often is, but if he says it's warranted, he can tell us to put it in.
Okay,
And then by code, we just change our map, what's all on it, our schematic.
can we look at that? Thank you. Please, chief, thank you. It's gotten.
Well, there's a lot of kids walk down through there.
There's a lot of
I
kids
know
that
it.
walk through there.
I've seen it.
Are there still having trucks going through there and
There has been some trucks
near
come through
missing
there.
that line?
Yeah.
It's hard to enforce that because it's.
Well, Charter needs to raise their line.
Well, it's hard to enforce that one, and we've got a problem there coming out of Family Dollar also, because they're not supposed to go in that alleyway on the north side of Melinda Dexter's River. And they're still doing it and tearing stuff up over there.
Okay.
Behind Ground and Grace, where you want to raise a line, the problem is the separation from power. We've had that problem there from when I worked for the phone company years ago. We couldn't raise it because we've got to stay 40 inches separation from power.
Can they go out and go east though? Do they have the same power line issue if those trucks try to go east towards school? As long as it's not when they're loading buses and unloading buses? I wonder,
I'm not following.
with the traffic,
Why do they have to turn that out?
But
they
they,
really don't, they can pull back out on the
the
street.
problem is getting under the cable between the old deluxe cafe and ground and graves. That's where the cable's low.
So they
Getting
have
in,
no business back there whatsoever.
No. No.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, because don't they deliver it through the front door anyway?
I think when it's busy and their parking's bad there, then sometimes they come right in that area.
As long as there's signage, I'm sure that if our officers observe someone, they will probably get ticketed. But it's just like enforcing anything. There's just no way you can be there all the time.
What about putting a, not clearance sign,
Well, if the no through traffic sign is still there, that's not gonna do any good.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, building inspector, nothing. Airport.
The season is getting better. We're getting a lot more traffic in. The fuel, I've been taking the readings of, I was calling them in or texting them to Alex, and I've been just writing them down, putting them on paper. I'd like to get where I could send them to someone again like I was daily. Do you have someone that I can do that to?
At some point I will.
Uh-huh.
At some point I will.
Okay. Because I don't want to be the only one that's taking care of the amount of fuel that's out there. I like to go through somebody.
In other words, you do not want to be the only person who is keeping track of the fuel and consumption and sales.
That's right.
Do you log it? Do you have a log sheet?
That's what I'm doing on paper now. I just drew something up on my own, and I'm keeping track of it. And then at the end of the month, I give it to Danae. But at some point, until we get somebody doing it in the office, it can pile up and get to be where there's going to be quite a bit to submit, to write down, to put in the computer or wherever you put it. Anyway.
Is there, I want to go a different direction. Isn't this going to be just bear with me for a second. Isn't this just going to be redundant to what you're already doing?
What's that?
Redundant to what you're already doing.
Basically.
Now I know something they all don't know.
What I'm doing, basically all they're gonna have to do is just somebody check it and put it wherever they put it.
So you're gonna turn it in. Is that what you're gonna do?
Yeah, I was just texting the readings to Alex every day.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's gone, so I'm writing it down on paper.
Is that just the paper you're doing by chance, an Excel sheet?
You say that again?
Did you make a form out of an Excel or a Word document?
Took a ruler and drew some lines.
Old school.
Big cheap tab.
Actually, I use the edge of a book. And it's not a big deal. It's just that
It's just the gallons per day that's used.
Yes.
Why don't you tell them the whole story?
Excuse me?
Tell them the whole story.
What is the whole story?
The whole story is we had a shortage of fuel, and an individual was accused of using that fuel.
This was years ago.
And it was him. And so he's very sensitive to this documentation and a record keeping. And I personally understand where he's coming from.
Airplane fuel's expensive.
Well, yeah, it is. But you're going to have evaporation. You're going to have shrinkage, and that's just part of the
From day to day, it almost never comes up the pump reading equaling the tank reading. Because if the temperature gets to 80 degrees, the pump reading will say we used 100 gallons, and the tank will say we've got 150 gallons more than we had yesterday. But then on a cold day, it'll go, so it fluctuates.
And so if you really wanted to complicate it, do you document the temperature for that day too?
Well, there is the University of Missouri has a weather station on the airport that documents the temperature every day.
Yeah, highs and lows.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all right, it's easy.
I may not be walking with the airport after this, okay? But as far as I'm concerned, if the real question is a question of trust, and I know we spend $60,000, $58,000 a year on fuel, and we sell more than what we spend. We spend about 48, we sell about 58 or 60 every year typically. If it's an issue of trust, I have no reason whatsoever to suggest that we duplicate an effort. If you've got the record and you're keeping a record of it, I'm fine with you doing that. It's not a matter of trust. But I understand where you're coming from. You got burnt and it hurt and you didn't like it, and I understand. But I have no problem with you doing it and taking care of it and submitting a monthly report if that's what you want to do, or even a quarterly report. That'll be up to the board what the term's going to be. I don't see any value in duplicating effort. I just don't.
Suits me, it suits you.
Am I still welcome there for it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
It's
Good.
not hurting me at all. I mean,
No, you're in this position because you're a trusted individual who went in the first place.
I
You
just
have a lot
want
of
to make sure that
responsibility. You have a lot of
somebody else is
responsibility.
just checking me, basically.
We'll do it once a quarter,
So,
whatever this board decides.
Good enough. We've been selling more fuel. We're within 1,000 gallons of needing to buy fuel, and which will be an 8,000 gallon load.
Okay.
So I'll keep you posted on that.
No problem.
I talked to you all before about the campground, making a spot. Butch Harrison from Sunrise Transport has donated a fire pit. I talked to the mayor about having the street department come out with a skid steer and scrape off the dirt on a small area and put a picnic table and the fire pit. Basically, put gravel in it so you won't have to move everything and mow around it every time. And then eventually I'd like to build a pavilion over a picnic table out there.
We got a few spare picnic tables, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was talking to Waddy. I apologize. I was talking to Waddy behind you.
That sounds like
We want 4-H project.
So you want permission for us to go out there and remove some sod, dump some gravel, y'all put it in the fire pit, we'll supply a picnic table?
Yep.
Do we need to make a motion on that, or just tell them to do it?
Just do it.
Okay, there you go.
All right.
You got permission.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you,
Awesome.
Bill.
Thank you, Dell, very, very much. Okay, next on the agenda will be Mosswood. Have we got more than one thing, John, to look at on this, or on Mosswood?
Are we the contract's coming up in June.
In June, okay.
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead. Go ahead.
I think I sent to John a copy of the profit and loss for last year.
Yeah.
So, we've done a lot of things to try to generate some more income from Mosswood. If you look at the daily revenues, we do a Mosswood Monday greens fees that basically it's days that we don't normally get a lot of time or a lot of play. And these are non-members that are playing, and I think we generated $24,000 plus last year, and that's $25 a person. So that's 800 plus rounds there, and then on top of our members, we also have another $70,000 in greens fees, which are Wednesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. And looking at this for next year, we're going to be asking for the same amount we've had. Chemicals and fertilizer have went up substantially, but I think we can cover, the excess on top if we would get to 25,000. That's been kind of the going rate for a number of years on the chemical fertilizer expense, and then $10,000 on the utility write-off. When I was looking at the budget that was presented in March, and I think one thing to consider is I think Mosswood was listed under general revenue, which is not where it should be. Mosswood was put under the park board 3 or 4 years ago. So any of the money that's pursuant to this contract should come out of park board funds.
And looking at the park board funds, we're making essentially $200,000 in revenue a year. I know the swimming pool has a lot of debt service that is a big chunk of that. But, based on the revenue and the balance as of March of $368,000, I think that's a correct place to come out of it. That's what Mosswood was put under park board 3 years ago, 4 years ago, somewhere in that range. And that's where the money should come from. So when, if the board wants to approve that contract for services, I think that's where the money should be coming out of. And it was my understanding that it was until seeing the report in March where it showed under general revenue.
Yeah, Ronnie and I talked about that actually today, but it's a park.
The only thing that's not under parks is cemetery. Mosswood is under parks. It's not general revenue. I'm almost certain.
Budget's
Well, we
in
have a
here.
budget right here.
Well, I'm basically talking about the budget we passed.
Right, but she gives us a copy of the expenses.
Yeah, I don't have access to your budget. I just know that the 6-month report had the expenses from Mosswood under general revenue.
Have you all already purchased your fertilizing, chemicals for the year?
We purchased a portion of them. Yeah. So the issue, and this is something that I was going to address too, is I think if we can work out some sort of short term, if we need something from June till October, but it would make a lot more sense if we started this contractor service to run with your year as opposed to running it from, June to June. I think if we ran it from October to September, I think it'd make more sense for a number of reasons. One, better tracking to show that where, we are on a year-to-year basis. So there's a lot of times where we're like, have we spent this money or not? I don't think we've used the whole money from last year yet. But I think also our purchase time is generally end of the year, first of the year. So I think if we, worked out some sort of short-term plan and then just ran them October to October, I think it'd make a lot of sense for all parties.
I think you are, if you look on page
4?
5. I mean, if you go to the expenses, it'll show them under Parks and Rec under any.
Yeah.
Say it again, Lori.
Income, but on page 5, their expenses are under Parks.
Yeah.
Should be because they're not. Here's the ending fund balance for GR general revenue, and then we go look at swimming pool and Mosswood's under the Mosswood expenditure for 25 and 10 are both within.
They all fall within the park.
Yeah, they're all in the parks.
Sales tax park.
Yeah, they are. They currently are.
Yeah, I noticed that it was not an expense on the park board sales tax on the report in March. I actually pulled that up today just to double check because it showed the only expense on the park board on that report was debt service, which I'm assuming is all on swimming pool.
So do we budget for our commitment to Mosswood?
Absolutely, positively. You sure did.
And
And it should be on here, as a matter of fact. Yeah, there's the budget right here. Grass seed and fertilizer 25 and utilities 10.
okay.
Yeah, to answer your question, yes.
It's all under the park sales tax.
Okay. And you would like us to get on the cycle of October through?
We would
does
be
make
willing
sense.
to do whatever. It's just, I think for all parties, it might make a lot of sense to do it, run it from October to October. Just for the fact, like I said, on our end, we don't want to be double billing for something where on our year to year, we know what we spend. But some of that is, during the year, some of that's after October.
It's not gonna match ours.
Right, because we don't do the same, we are not the same account.
So John, would we amend the existing contract to run through
Well,
October?
it'd be a new
They
contract.
just do a new one.
What I would suggest is we go October to October, and then what I will try to do, I'll talk to our greenskeeper, and I will see if there is, try to match what the balance of what was from the last year that runs through June is, and try to get an idea if there's some certain expenses that need to be done between now and October, and present that to the board, and then we can start on basically on October to October timeframe.
That's good.
Any other questions?
I think one of the things we're gonna want to do is go back and revisit, some of the, you wanna talk about this? You want me to? Talk about some of the language in the contract. I don't know what changed, in 2021. That original contract, and I may not be 100% accurate, actually it ran for 20 years and it auto renewed for 20 years and it ended in 2021. And the contract prior to 2021 contained considerations for whatever equipment up to that time that the city had participated within the purchase by applying funds to capital expenditures. The city was basically covered within that agreement that if for some reason, I'm sure you're probably familiar with the language much more than I am.
Well, I guess what are you talking about, the lease from Spalding's to the city, or are you talking the original contract for services? Because the original contract for services was in 2019, I believe, was the first year for that.
Well,
before that, there was, an agreement with the Spaldings that covered some things as well. But there was until 2019, there was not a contract for service that was being utilized by the board. What was going on is it was Mosswood would come in, and this is before my time with Mosswood too. Mosswood would come in and say, we need money, the board would look at it and spend it. But there was also a running lease with the Spalding family that said that, if the grounds weren't utilized for a golf course, it would revert back to them. And there's some other language in there that has ended.
right.
That ended, I believe, in late 2010s.
My recollection is, I have the actual original down, so be glad to send it to you. The part of it that caught my attention was wherein, and even the current contract has language that speaks to capital expenditures.
So what the most recent contract, the one I'm aware of, said that we could request up to $10,000 for capital expenditures, and it'd be up to the board to approve that.
Right.
Which I think it's been 2 years since we asked for that, for a specific capital expenditure from the board. And, there is some other ways we've done it, but we tried to just kind of update our own equipment, which is basically what we were using capital expenditure for is, we are still in the process of updating equipment. We had a lot of old equipment breaks down, and, so, luckily we've had Tom Linking on the board so he can kind of guide us through some of that stuff. But that was what, I think we bought a greens mower, or you used $10,000 for a greens mower at one time. And again, I've only been part of the board for.
Well, I tell you what, part of it caught my interest, and you and John can talk about this, certainly on my area of expertise, not English reform, but where the city had provided capital to be used for expenditures on equipment. The language of that contract kind of protected the taxpayers' investment by stating that if, for some reason, at any point in time, that relationship were to cease, or they used the word fail, the city would retain ownership in that capital equipment. And the current contract doesn't address that in any way. And that's one thing that I would like you guys at least see if you can't have some discussion on.
Yeah, and we can do that.
A lot of things, there's a lot of things that changed.
Yeah, and I think the concern and again, we're not asking for a guarantee of this, and I think it's something that, what I would probably say is rather than say this, I think the contract says 10,000 for capital expenditures. I think you just say that Mosswood can come to the board and ask for money, no guarantees or anything, because
I would agree.
I think that would address the issue.
I think
because
it would.
I think the problem we have is if we get asked for $10,000, if there's a capital expenditure that we need $10,000 for, it's going to be costing us more than $10,000, and then we have some sort of split ownership. This aspect,
Okay.
if we go that.
That's fine. I'll let you guys handle that.
You
So
don't
what
wanna
we
be
do-
frittering away 10 grand on something that's not that important. Maybe every 3 years you get a $30,000 piece of equipment. Would be my thought.
Yeah, that's my thought too.
So how are things looking? I noticed the balance sheet. We're not privy to beginning or ending balances, nor should we be. But it looks like going to have to increase something, huh?
So we've made a lot of changes in the last year. All our across the board, we have increased prices, our daily rates, our membership, and it's one of those deals just had to.
I get it.
I think last year we had an issue where we had a greenskeeper that was salary and then went on probation because he wasn't working, went on probation, went hourly, and kind of stuck us with some, excessive hours. So our employment costs were higher than normal. Our budget this year that we're working on would have us, at the minimum breaking even, which if you break even as a golf course, that's a great year. So
It is.
It is. Even with our prices up, you drive by on a random Monday or Thursday when we have this $25 play all you want, it's packed. And the good
It is.
Saturdays and Sundays at this point, you can't even as a member, you can't even hardly get on there. So, I mean, the streams of revenue we have are all positive, and we are really working. I think the issue is working on trying to reduce our expenses as much as possible. But so far, it looks pretty promising for this year.
I'm glad to hear that. Well, I like the fact that it brings people into the city. And the hope is they buy gas, stop at the convenience store or whatever, and spend money. That's helpful for everybody.
I think
Always hear
that
very
does-
good things about the golf
Yeah, I think
course.
that Mosswood Monday which it's started as Monday, is now Tuesday, Thursday. I mean, almost all those people are out of town. And then we just had a one-man scramble that I think had 70-something golfers, and 40% of them were out of town. So
That's good. I like it. All right. Well, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Mike.
thank you.
Okay. Mosswood had made a request. We had some vehicles that we were going to put on Purple Wave or whatever that is, and sell those. We're trying to trying to come up with enough money to buy a 1-ton truck that will be shared by the street department and the gas department, and it'll be outfitted with existing equipment for a snowplow operation and addition spreading de-icer during the winter months. We're trying to take everything that we don't need and can't foresee a need to have and sell it. And so one request from Mosswood is one of the pickup trucks. And so there's some things that go along with it that John brought to our attention. John, you're going to have to be the expert because to me, it's kind of unusual situation. The golf course, by virtue of its gift, based on how many years ago that was to the city of that property, it's city property. I guess we're in effect paying a company entity to manage it. That would be the Mosswood Golf Association. And so they're asking us to give them a city-owned vehicle for their use. I don't know what all comes into play relative to liabilities or insurance, how that all possibly play out. What do you have to say that the board needs to know in order to help them make a determination whether or not they want to give that one vehicle, which is it's pretty old, isn't it?
It's an 08.
08, 08, what is it?
107,000 for half ton, 2 wheelers.
Okay, so they've asked for us to allow them to use that. I think John might have a different idea on how we would want to
I mean, my thought is you're opening the door to giving away city property groups that, I mean, they do good for the city, but is that a road we want to start going down?
What's the fair blue book on it?
I haven't looked it up. I think around maybe 3, something, I'm just guessing. Pickups are cheap. But I haven't looked it.
What other entity relationship type do we have with Mosswood that we would be opening ourselves up to?
My thought was like the people that mow the cemetery or mow the park.
I think what he's trying to say is we have a contractual relationship with an entity that provides service to the city of Monroe City. Even though it's our property, it's no different than the cemetery or mowing the airport, or they have to have insurance. They utilize their own equipment. The only exception to that, there is a big exception to that, and it's people services. Because people services has, within its contract, we provide backhoes, skid steers, or whatever it is they need to perform their activities for the city of Monroe City. Golly gee, I wish it weren't so, but it's part of the contract. They're not motor vehicles. They're not. Well, the only motor vehicle out there is the back truck. We allow them to use that, and there's no additional consideration required from them. So we are, and I didn't think about that just now when you said that we are already doing it, in fact. So how does that impact this decision-making process? Do we do something different?
Specified in our contract.
Yeah, it's in the contract.
No, I understand, but we're doing it. What I'm
Right.
getting at, yeah, it is a contract. It is specified in the contract. I get that, but we are still doing it. We're still allowing a company that we contract with that performs a service for the city to utilize our equipment. We probably pay for the fuel. We probably pay for all the maintenance. They just broke, we fix it. Correct? Rodney,
Not all the maintenance, not all the repairs, but, and yes, you do ultimately pay for the fuel.
Yeah, so we're kind of doing it already, and I guess what we have to, I just did a 180, I realize that, John. I just did a 180, okay, I'm sorry.
But I mean, to
But
me,
we had a conversation,
I
we had a
would think the
conversation.
equipment baked into the price, we pay people services. I mean, if they were providing their own equipment, we'd be paying a higher.
So what I hear you recommending is that we offset our
Well, and
contract.
would the board want it offset? Or would you rather spend the money on other equipment?
I'm not a member of the board anymore.
Okay.
Thank you.
The guy that you needed to talk to went and left.
All right.
I don't know what they
Well, it sounded like that we may, that the chair, me, may elect to table this for another meeting. So we can have a conversation with your guys. Okay, so that's tabled. All right, presentation of bills and approval of payments. Next thing on the agenda, that'd be tab 12.
Permission to approach. Hey guys. Okay. So for those that haven't met me yet, I'm Sonia Johnston, the mayoral. Hi, Robin. Nice to meet you. Hi, nice to meet you. So I'm Sonia Johnston. I'm the mayor appointee for treasurer for Monroe City. Guys, I apologize getting this out too late. Part of it is I'm still very green. However, it's also, I've heard the words redundancy and duplicate efforts a lot. I kind of am in the same line with that. But before, April, what are you doing over there in the corner? Didn't even see you.
I don't know.
I'd like to recognize, before me coming on board, the sheer amount of individual hours that have gone into getting the city where it is right now as far as the budget goes, creating line items, and just, it's massive. So I do want to recognize that, and it's a good work on that. The spreadsheet that I sent you guys yesterday was highlighted in yellow. So those were the payments that I had put into the spreadsheet, because this is a redundant thing. Jeanette and I are going to be working together to streamline things a lot better. So this updated spreadsheet shows still some yellow, of course, but what is now white has been put into our G-Work system. We have checks printed for those. So that technically would be for your approval to pay. The ones that are in yellow are still to be entered in. We had some downtime with G-Works today. It actually was at least a couple hours maybe plus. So those will be first focus for tomorrow. I don't know the protocol for approving items after the meeting, but Jeanette and I will be working on that again. What's in the blue are, those are new requests that just haven't got put in yet because that's when G-Works was down. So I have a stack here with checks that have been printed, checks that are in G-Works that need printed, and then all this right here are still things to be reviewed. Things come out of different accounts. We're trying, the guys have been great as far as the street department, the gas department, board, of course, and having some more accountability as to what the expenditure, what account to take that from. We are really implementing the $50, if they're spending more than $50, they need to have eyes on that and make sure it gets applied to the correct account. So everybody's been great on that. So please keep in mind that as we're trying to implement, really take charge of some of these expenses, keep an eye on it. Is it waste? Can we do something better? I come from a factory background, 13 years. It's been a long time since I've been there, but waste, cutting waste is a huge thing that was always stressed a lot. And that was with Brad Bonner, big majority of that, so it's good to see him here. So no, that's all I have for right now. Again, we'll communicate well and update you, and just want to know if you have any questions.
I love the detail.
Thank you.
Did we get, sorry to put you on the spot,
yes.
But the whole deal of Dude Solutions.
Is that the first one?
Yeah, the first one. Did they actually send us something, a demand, or?
So that's.
I've called them multiple times and
right.
They never answer.
I haven't got any answers yet either, John. But it was, from my understanding, a software purchase that we ultimately did not use.
Right.
But because of just got looked over, oversight, not put any blame on anyone, but then it went to a collections agency from there. And then from that, it went to a law firm. So I've, and I understand that you tried to reach out yourself, but I'm having the same luck that you did with no communication from this firm. So
my thought kind of is not pay it until they at least talk to it.
Agreed.
I agree with that.
Maybe too.
Good enough.
Yep. So I just want to highlight that.
Okay.
Ultimately, we're going to have to pay it sometime.
How much was the original amount?
That is the original.
That is the original amount.
Yeah, that's without any collection fees or anything like that at this point.
Okay.
But we want, whatever we pay, we want to make sure, this is actually what they want to be done with us.
Right.
And ideally, I'd like to see if they take less, since
Yeah.
we never used it, but.
That would be ideal. I mean, we have found documentation where this was all approved several years back. So, I mean, at some point we will need to be paid. But yeah, if we could get a lesser amount, that would be best.
Maybe this is, excuse me, been on here before and I just haven't seen it. But I see there is a Monroe City Utilities. All departments are paying it. How does that work? So each department writes a check to, how does that work?
Well, our G-Works, of course, they operate all of our funds. So one check is issued, but it is categorized out so much for general, so much for police, so much for gas. We have a spreadsheet that Alex put together before he left, and it's itemized for each department as to how much gets paid each month out of each department.
Gotcha. I just don't remember seeing that.
So I don't know how you want to proceed, considering I don't have the total package ready for you tonight.
And that's okay.
This is normally what we kind of look at, you know.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we do want to proceed with the, probably the credit card payment for sure, as that we don't want to pay any penalties, interest, anything like that.
So,
But most of these, that are in the yellow are reoccurring charges anyway.
I would make a motion to approve the accounts payable with the exception of the very first one listed.
Yeah,
I'll second.
$7,600.
okay, we have a motion, second on the floor to approve the accounts payable as referenced, with the exception of the Leviton law firm. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. It's approved.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you. Thank you.
Could I back up to the airport for just 1 second?
No.
Sorry, that's just.
Okay, this is my job. I'm still the chair, I will recognize Bill.
Make it snappy.
So he says her.
Not only of the gallons that I'm turning in, but in the past, the money that was put into the bank account through that credit card was kept track of, and that was jived with the amount of gallons. So I have no control of that.
Okay, so if I provided you that monthly statement that we get on those credit card charges, then you would be able to verify, because you would know the amount of gallons from the total.
I would know the total. I wouldn't know if one of them failed or something. Because in the past, Jackie would call me up and say, this credit card didn't pay, or
I don't think that happens anymore with the system we have now.
so and then again, is this money still going into the general fund, or is it? And then you're just going to continue to do it?
It's going where it's supposed to go. It's going into aviation fuel expense or aviation fuel revenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because that card does charge a monthly service fee, and so we have that as an expense
Right.
too.
So I think it would be a good idea if we could balance the money with the gallon.
Yeah, I can provide that statement to you.
All right.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Okay.
I apologize, we were rude before.
I do have a question on unfinished business. We mentioned Purple Wave a while ago. Have we done anything with those vehicles yet? On Purple Wave?
He has everything ready. It's all lined up, ready to go. We went to, Rodney went to locate the titles to everything. And one of the pieces of equipment was never titled in our name. And we have to reach out to whoever we purchase this from, which we have to figure out, and get a bill of sale and get all that done. So I'm wondering if
It might be easier to just get one from the court. I don't know, we talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave you the book. It had all the information in it. Yeah. Huh?
The title.
No, but it had all the information of where it was purchased from. Yeah. Well, bring it back and we'll go through it together. Moving right along.
So that's no. We haven't done anything, but
No.
we're working on it.
We're working on it. Trust me, we want to get this rocking and rolling so we can generate some cash.
Because we can easily go ahead and get a hold of Purple Wave
Oh, yeah.
for what he has, and then we can do this other piece of equipment later if you wanted to.
Does this board has to approve
No.
the sales, right? Sale of all that equipment?
You already motioned to go through Purple Wave.
That include what he calls
It
my,
does,
not my
yes.
truck?
Uh-huh.
It does include that truck too?
Yeah.
Awesome, we're ready to go. All right, moving right along. There being no,
What are you talking about? Your truck.
oh, no, Phoebe calls it my truck.
Oh.
Well, you call it
One
my
that
truck
never moves in
too.
the back of City Hall.
Are you gonna sell that one too?
That newer one?
The Ford 2021, yes.
Okay.
We gotta come up with a lot of money.
Selling
Sorry, what?
everything.
She agrees. Okay.
Keep looking at the parking lot.
There being no unfinished business, moving right along though.
Could sell that.
We need to adjourn this and go into closed session.
Real quick.
Real quick.
I filled in or just April. I'm here. I apologize. She started at the same time Sonia did, and but everybody is doing very well. It's just a lot to take on all at once, but we're getting there. And she has been operating and working with the Burma, with our insurance. She's getting a lot of knowledge there too.
Thank you, welcome.
Thank you. I got skipped.
What would you want?
Parks and Cemetery?
Oh.
We buzzed right over all that.
We buzzed over committee meetings, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, we said we didn't have any updates on that, Penny.
Oh, you did? Did I was asleep?
Yes.
I did have some.
The board recognizes Penny Fulton representing the Parks and Recreation Committee.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I have a request from the citizens of Monroe on the pickleball court. We have got the pickleball court updated. We've started painting it. We do not have it striped yet. Of course, I haven't been there to see. Ronnie, we don't have it striped yet, right?
Waiting on tape and paint.
Okay. And in the interim, we have had some of the people that actually requested the court would like to extend the court at their cost and their labor and everything to extend it out like 6 feet on each side, or I think is what we're talking.
North and south direction.
And then, so that we can change the court in north and south direction, so the sun is not in their
We
eyes.
discussed this once before.
But we were
Yeah,
They asked us to pay for it.
they're gonna pay.
Yeah,
They're gonna
so now we are asking permission that we let those wonderful citizens expand our court and incur the cost and the labor and everything else to get it situated on the
Yeah, I even talked to Marcus about this.
path, yeah,
Yeah, he.
hold harmless and all that.
No problem.
And remember, it's already painted.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
It's
ask.
already painted.
It's already painted.
And it's striped.
So we're gonna call
Turn
this
it,
phase
you
two.
have to
Phase two.
We're gonna call this phase two. Phase one is still in progress. We don't have the net up because we still have paint to put in there.
It's a good time to add on to it.
It's
though,
a good time to
before
add on to it.
it's done.
There's an issue with the paint as well, so that's kind of on hold, that third, because Sherwin-Williams
Doesn't
isn't
match.
backing up their product.
Bad.
We had a bad batch of paint, and so we have a credit for Sherwin-Williams, so I think we were thinking, let's just stop. And then this committee these citizens would pay for the repainting as well. And then we just have to move the net, which is just take off the boards. So we're requesting permission for our citizens to do that.
Do they have a ballpark? Do they know how much?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, not gonna cost
We don't
money.
care.
I
We
don't
don't
care.
care.
I mean, is it gonna delay anything else, or?
Well, you know,
It's not ready to go.
these are the people, I mean, I think the answer is these are the people that want it done in front of the place.
Correct.
I make a motion to allow the citizens to make improvements to pickleball.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to allow the citizens
Transparency.
to make improvements to the ball court under the guidance of the Parks and Recreation Committee. You have a second? Have a motion second on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carries. You got it, Penny.
Thank
We
you.
apologize.
You're fine. But can I address, at the beginning of when you did the committees, mayoral committees, if I didn't hear all the members of the Parks Committee, should we address that?
Well, hold on a second. I will.
Okay.
Hold on.
I either didn't hear it or.
I'll leave somebody off.
Let me look at my list. I think you have it. If you talked really fast.
Well, yeah, it's Matt, Penny,
Yep.
Vicky, Casey, Alex, Richard, and Greg.
Perfect.
I think it's all. I think it's
that's
everybody.
it. 1, 2, 3, 4.
'Cause I called everybody.
You did, okay.
I called everybody.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it very, very much. All right, there being no more unfinished business, we would like to go into executive session. Would you?
Okay, everybody
Thank you.
Okay.
Freeze.
I'm cold. I get crazy. I'll make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to RSMO 610.02 subsection 3.
Freezing in here.
We have a motion, we have a second. We have a motion and a second to go into executive session pursuant to RSMO 610.0213, hiring, firing, disciplining, and promoting a particular employee by a governmental body, when personal information about the employees discussed or recorded.
Alderman Schneider?
Yes.
Alderman Simpson?
Yes.
Alderman Osborne?
Yes.
Alderman Saunders?
Yes.
Alderman Quinn?
You said you get cranky when you're cold.
Mhm.
You must be cold a lot. I'm just teasing.
Wow,
I'm getting ready. I don't want to be worried about
I'm just teasing, Cupcake.
See if I give you 7 in